Well, yeah, you do, but look, Fat, look, here's the deal.
During a campaign stop in Iowa, Joe Biden got into an intense exchange with a voter, and Biden ended up calling this voter fat, too old to vote for him, and a damn liar. Now, the beginning of this clip, it's a little hard to hear what's happening. The voter's talking about how Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, got a cushy job at a Ukrainian energy company, making $50K a month, even though his son had no experience at all working in the field. And I'll get into that and why I think this will matter in a general election, a potential general election matchup if Biden becomes the nominee. But it goes on from there, and you'll be able to hear what's happening.
I got a question I want you to answer. We all know Trump has been messing around in Ukraine over there, holding their foreign aid for them to come out saying they're going to investigate. We don't know. He's go back what we do after that. But you, on the other hand, sent your son over there, get a job and work for a gas company that he had no experience with, absolutely nothing, in order to get access to the public, for the president. So you're selling access to the president just like he is. So
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that? No one has heard that?
I see it on the TV.
You see it on the TV. No, I know you do. And by the way, that's why I'm not sedentary. I get up and no, let him go. Let him go. Look, the reason I'm running is because I've been around a long time and I know more than most people know. And I can get things done. That's why I'm running. And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take the night Number two, no one has said my son has done anything wrong, and I did not on any occasion. And no one has ever said it. Not
I didn't say you were doing anything wrong.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
That's what I hear on MSNBC.
You don't hear that on MSNBC. You did not hear that at all. What you heard, look, okay, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, man.
Well, I don't want to.
Well, yeah, you do, but look, Fat, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
It looks like you don't have any more backbone than Trump does.
Let him talk. Let him talk.
Any other questions?
Yeah, all right. I'm not voting for you.
Well, I knew you weren't, man. You think I thought you'd stand up and vote for me? You're too old to vote for me.
All right. I don't even know. Okay. Here's the thing. I actually don't think Joe Biden calling this guy fat or too old is going to hurt him. Any other candidate, it would probably sink that candidate. For Joe Biden, he gets away with stuff like this. I don't know why, but he does. But the stuff that I think will hurt him, especially if it gets to a general election and Biden's the nominee, is Hunter Biden's job, Joe Biden's son, the job that he had at a gas company making $50,000 a month just because he was Joe Biden's son. So I'll get to my thoughts on that. First, let me just go over the response that the Biden campaign had to this. So just to go over what happened in this clip. Joe Biden calls the guy a damn liar, even though the voter's making a critical point about Joe Biden's son getting a cushy job because he's Joe Biden's son. He challenges the voter to a push-up contest, calls the voter too old to vote for him. To be fair, maybe that was a joke. I hope it was a joke. But, man, Biden's voters are all old. If you look at any poll, the only reason he has any support, the only reason he's leading in any poll is because anybody that is 60 plus is all for Joe Biden. That is the only reason Joe Biden has any support. And then he goes on to call the voter fat. Now, here is the response from Joe Biden's senior advisor, Simone Sanders. She tweeted out this saying, let's be clear. The exchange VP Biden had with a voter in Iowa early today. 1. The gentleman is a self-identified Warren supporter who said he would vote for the VP in a general election. 2. His facts were flat out wrong. And 3. The crowd backed VP Biden up in his response. To be clear, any assertion VP Biden said a word about the gentleman's appearance is making this something it is not. In the latter part of the exchange, the VP began to say, look, facts. Then he said, here's the deal. If you've been to a Biden event, you've heard this before. Okay. First, the fact that this voter is a Warren supporter shows you that nepotism, that this rigged system is going to be an issue for Joe Biden in a general election. This is not some Trump voter that wandered into a Biden campaign. This is a Warren supporter. So a Warren supporter is concerned about the fact that Joe Biden's son got a cushy job working for a Ukrainian gas company because he is Joe Biden's son. That is evidence of a rigged system. Again, as the voter said, he's not saying Biden did anything wrong because Biden didn't do anything wrong. What is wrong is the system and how Biden's family has benefited from the system, and Joe Biden has been uncritical of this system. Now, the idea that Biden said, look, facts, instead of look, fat, is insane. Let's watch this clip again, and let's watch it zoomed in on the students in the background and watch their reaction to what Joe Biden says.
Well, yeah, you do, but look, fat, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
It looks like you don't have.
Look, fat, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
It looks.
All right. You can tell from the reaction of the kids in the background that absolutely Joe Biden called this man fat. It's obvious. You can hear it. You can see the reaction in the room. It's obvious he called him fat. Again, I don't really think this is going to hurt him. People may look at this, some voters may look at this in a similar way that they looked at Trump, where, oh, he's just being an honest guy. He's just like me. He calls people fat. So something like this may just completely roll off Joe Biden. But what does matter here is Hunter Biden's cushy job in Ukraine. Now, the GOP is using this right now as a distraction from impeachment, which, I mean, they're taking this whole story to a level that the facts don't support. So I'm not backing up the GOP's version of Hunter Biden's job or any of that. What I am saying is that the very fact that Joe Biden's son had a cushy job in Ukraine, making $50,000 a month for a Ukrainian gas company, he only had that job because he was Joe Biden's son. That is evidence of a rigged system. That is nepotism. So this will be an issue for Joe Biden if he's the nominee, because it shows just another example of propping up a rigged system. Voters are getting tired of voting for candidates that represent this broken, rigged system that is rigged against them. This will absolutely suppress the vote in a general election. Not even to mention, you think young voters are going to go out to knock on doors or phone bank for this guy? Really? Like, this is what sunk Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump. The energy wasn't there. The base was not there for the candidate. There were not young people out canvassing in big numbers, phone banking, sending in small dollar donations. None of that was going on for Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders had that energy. Hillary Clinton did not. Hillary Clinton, just like Joe Biden, is a representation of a broken, rigged system. Now, let's go to a candidate who is actually the antithesis to Donald Trump. This is what you need to defeat Donald Trump. You need somebody who is the complete opposite of Donald Trump. Joe Biden has benefited from this system just like Donald Trump has. Bernie Sanders, though, I mean, Bernie Sanders didn't even endorse his son for Congress because he doesn't believe in dynastic politics. So this is a report from the Washington Post when Bernie Sanders' son was running for Congress. The younger Sanders has not only the ruddy complexion, ruffled hair, and cantankerous style of his father, whom he affectionately refers to as Bernard, but also a cookie-cutter Sanders agenda based on Medicare for all and a $15 an hour minimum wage. What he doesn't have is his father's endorsement. Quote, "In the Sanders family, we don't do dynastic politics," he explained. Bernie Sanders didn't endorse his own son for Congress because Bernie Sanders has principles. He doesn't believe in propping up a rigged system or helping his son simply because he's his son. I mean, this you may even have some critiques of Bernie in this sense, because this is farther than I think most people would go. But this is how dedicated Bernie Sanders is to the people, how dedicated he is to democracy. He doesn't want to rig the system in any way to benefit people that are close to him. This is what you need going up against Donald Trump. This is why the mainstream press largely ignores Bernie Sanders, even though he's in the top 3 in every poll, and he has by far the most individual donations and the most individual donors and the most grassroots volunteers and the most phone. Bernie Sanders has the grassroots support and the energy. Even though he has all of that and is in the top 3 in polling in every single poll, the mainstream media largely ignores him because there is nothing to attack him over. There is nothing of substance to actually go after Bernie Sanders over. So they instead just ignore him. Because again, Bernie Sanders challenges the existing system. He challenges the wealth and the power of massive media companies that benefit from the current system. So why would they prop up a candidate in Bernie Sanders who looks to dismantle that for them? Bernie Sanders is a candidate of the people. This is why the Democratic Party establishment is against him. The media establishment is against him. The corporate establishment is against him. Bernie Sanders is actually going to change things for the better. That is the candidate that you need to go up against Donald Trump in 2020. Joe Biden, I mean, calling people fat and saying they're too old to vote for me, or let's have a push-up contest. Look, some of these things may work on some older voters. I'm not worried about the older voters. Older Democratic voters are going to come out and vote for the nominee regardless. What you should be worried about are the younger voters, people that are both either younger or also disillusioned from the system. They have been disaffected from the system. They have stopped voting. They stopped being engaged because they see these two parties representing a rigged system, propping up this continued system where nepotism is just one example of how the rigged system works against the average person. So when you have that, you have this obvious system where you have Democrats and Republicans propping up this existing broken system, and you have an independent, a lifelong independent in Bernie Sanders calling that out and has a lifetime 40-year record of calling that out. That will bring out non-voters out to vote. That brings out the youth out to vote. Joe Biden, again, you're going to have the older voters come out regardless of the nominee. What you have to be worried about are the people that didn't come out in 2016. And those people that didn't come out in 2016, the young, independents, disaffected voters, will come out for Bernie Sanders.